What's the dumbest thing you've ever heard someone say? My friend once told me he wasn't too concerned about using birth control because everyone knows the girl can only get pregnant if they both come at the same time. His GF was pregnant 3 months later. Good for him making sure his girlfriend came at the same time as him. Such a considerate lover. I work in vet med. Some clients are shy about talking about their dog's genitals and some don't care and will start yelling about how their cat's butthole is crammed up with poop. The dumbest thing a client has said to me in that regard is that their dog is licking her butt, but like the front part of it. Oh, so her vulva? No, her front butt. IDK if this dude was afraid to say the word vulva. If he genuinely thought female dogs have 2 buttholes, plausible. My brother thought his dog's vulva was some weird growth or something else entirely, but it's an inside joke in our clinic now. A previous boyfriend of mine was petting my cat and got all serious. I don't want to scare you, but we should take her to the vet. She has these lumps. They were her nipples. When I said that, the look on his face as he realized exactly that was priceless. Just yesterday we had someone bring their dog in Fortix. They were his nipples. If you could adopt a child from a third world country, which country would you choose and why? I would choose Alaska because it's really cold there. A member of the prom court being asked a random question on our school's live news show that was being broadcasted out to every homer room. The answer aside, that's a really weird question. Yeah, right, feel really weird answering it. My sister panicked whilst on a plane and asked if she could open a window as she was feeling really hot. The guy in the seats across from her lost it. It made his day. I saw a drunk German woman fiddling with the airplane door because she wanted to have a smoke outside. Amazing lol. Some girl once told me that it was impossible for me to be Vietnamese BC Vietnam was a war and not a country. This happened while in college SMH. You should have answered with your right. I must be French or Indian. You think someone who doesn't know Vietnam was a country knows what the French-Indian War is? Wait, how could they castrate a 8-year-old? He wouldn't have his balls yet. My friend. A 18-year-old male who vastly misunderstood what people meant when they say your balls dropped. No, I don't know how he never noticed that he had balls before puberty. RIP me. 28-year male who just now learned that human testicles are supposed to descend before birth. I always took that saying literally. It's not terribly uncommon for testicles to drop after birth and before 6 months of age. They're supposed to descend in the last couple of months of fetal development. But sometimes they don't. Rarely, they don't drop on their own and an intervention is required. A girl in my class asked why do farms exist if she gets her food from the supermarket. The teacher had such a disappointed face and everyone looked at her and wondered how did she pass all the way through the 8th grade. And this is why rural folk oftentimes poke fun at city people. China is its own continent because the people who live there are called Chinese. And we are Oklahomans. Did I miss the memo where we became a continent? Most Oklahomans can be confused for continents. What about Oklahomans? Was WW to the cold one or the Asian one? Cold at the start, Asian at the end. My mom frantically called me one day and said she had seen a piece of the sun fall off while taking a picture of the sky. She was incredibly adamant that it was indeed real and that the picture would prove it. It was just a glare. No offense, but does your mom by chance happen to live in a cave with Plato? You have vertigo? Isn't vertigo that place where the planes get lost? No, that's where it go. Sorry for the confusion. If it hadn't been for vertigo, my plane would landed long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did go? This is your captain, Cotton Eye Joe. Asia was a country in China. This reminds me of a show that used to come on R&D in the early 2000s. It was about ancient civilizations. May have been hosted by Bill Curtis, but I'm hazy on the memory of that. One episode was about ancient Egypt and the narrator said, Egypt, which is located next to Africa. I'll never forget it because me and my GF at the time were on the phone and she heard that part too. It became an inside joke between us. I returned from a holiday in Egypt and you had to answer the health and prohibited goods declaration on arrival. On the question of have you been in Africa in the last 14 days, I wrote yes. The immigration officer asked me which country in Africa. When I told him Egypt, he looked at me puzzled, said that's not in Africa, crossed out my answer and waved me through. Was Benjamin Button based on a true story? I mean, it was truly based on a fictional story by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I guess you could consider it a true story if Fitzgerald was drunk enough that when writing it, he thought it happened to him. The same thing applies to texting your ex when you're wasted. A customer once argued with me that 19 and older, what our sign said, was different than 19 or older, what I said, and that I should let them into the club. Technically yes. When you're talking about a group of people, you can nitpick and say that there is a subtle difference in the phrases. However, this customer was 18. Edit. The subtle difference I was speaking of is in regards to a group. If the group is 19 and older, it includes those that are 19 and those that are older. Saying 19 or older would imply everyone is either only 19 or everyone is older. To an individual, there's no difference. Edit. Also, the correct phrasing should technically be includes ages 19 and over, or you /him/her/ they just be 19 or older. They are similar enough to be used interchangeably. I had a pharmacist once tell me that the age group for the government insurance was only 21 and under, not under 22. I couldn't get him to understand, so I just said okay. I know they are the same, but when working at an amusement park it was drilled in my head to say 2 and under get in free and not under 3 because people are stupid. The moon is much better than the sun because it's up at night illuminating, while the sun is up during the day when it's already bright. I worked with a guy in his 40s, and one day, he asked me if I knew that the moon didn't produce light. I was like, yeah, it reflects sunlight. Though, he was shocked, because he said he had just learned that the day before. This guy went to college and started businesses and shit. That sounds like the original Sherlock Holmes novels. He's portrayed as this know-it-all now, but in the first book he doesn't know anything about the planets, stars, orbits, etc. because it has nothing to do with his work. I knew a girl who said what's the big deal about Obama being elected president? Our first black president was Martin Luther King. My boyfriend had a coworker who asked if we'd ever had a Democrat as president while Obama was in his second term. He legitimately thought it had never happened. Edit. Guy was also in his late 20s. Why don't vegans eat fish? They aren't animals. As a vegetarian, I'm always surprised by the people who don't think fish are animals. As a former Catholic, I know that some people don't realize that fish is still meat, because for the purposes of Lenten fasting, fish is still okay to eat. But any kind of seafood that's not seaweed or some sort of vegetable is not vegetarian. Mussels may essentially be rocks with pulses, but they are still not something a vegetarian can eat. People also are weird about broth. Like if it's made with dead animal bones or meat, it's still not vegetarian. Doesn't matter if I'm eating the flesh or not, it's still not vegetarian. When I was like 13 I told my friend that there was such a thing as Elijah. They had successfully mated a lion and a tiger. His response: you idiot. Tigers are female lions. We took the argument to his mother to settle it. She took his side. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The apple is a female tree. Someone tried to convince me that snakes don't have bones. I showed him some pictures of snake skeletons, and he said yeah they have ribs, not bones. What do you think these ribs are made out of? Lines. Blue fire is cold. Okay. Put your hand in it. It's so cold it burns you /us. Friend shared that he thought women were like chickens. One day a month we would sit on a toilet all day and lay an egg. I knew a guy in college that thought women kept a tampon in all the time like a plug. Then once a month, when we got full, we'd take the tampon out and empty our periods out. Then put the tampons back in to plug it up again. I learned this when a classmate was complaining that her period was supposed to start over spring break when she was going to the beach, and he was like, just take your tampon out early and empty before you go. Learn to plan ahead. That chickens have no brains. Not that they are stupid. That a chicken literally does not have a brain. I had a neighbor who was sharing a similar theory about geckos after performing the very scientific procedure of ripping one open with pliers. Why? How do they know which moon to put out? They store them in order. But if they get them mixed up, you just check which one they used yesterday and use the next one. What a dummy. Ducking nightmare when Dave knocks all the moon crates over and just tosses them back into a big pile in no order whatsoever. You're really gonna make me remember the time my coworker thought Willy Wonka was a real person and wondered how much money he was making on nerds and gobstoppers. I really thought I had a shot at visiting the factory when I was younger too. I thought the movie was made as both an advertisement by Wonka to trick children at the time, like me, to buy Wonka candies, and a deterrent to prevent us from using it by showing us how badly we could end up if we went on the factory tour. As an adult, I laugh at the way I interpret the purpose of that movie. As a kid though, I thought that Wonka was a complete genius to both have the marketing campaign where you could win but would not exercise the rights so that he will not be committing a crime. Speaking of movies, 10 years old me thought I was clever in making a bomb by watching Die Hard 3. I wanted to carefully take a dab of syrup with a paperclip and throw it on the ground like the bomb expert guy at the NYPD. I figured because he mentioned the bomb at the school was made out of syrup, fake bomb. So I thought this is what the bomb was made of. I really wanted to make a chair go boom with a dab of pancake syrup. A customer came in today and apparently had an excuse for not wearing a mask. We offered curbside pickup for their safety and the safety of others. They let us know that they work at a COVID clinic, so they had literally 0% chance of contracting it. And we have a winner. Yep, this is it. Shut off the lights when you leave, please. That Japan was the capital of Australia. We share a time zone, but that's about it. Japan uses +9, but according to my research Australia uses +10, +9, 5 and +8. Is that true? That above info, if true, means that Australia and Japan does not share time zones. When I pointed out to a coworker that a person who actually was modest wouldn't brag about how modest they are, how would people know that I'm modest if I don't tell them? I honestly would have assumed it was a joke. I think I give too many people the benefit of the doubt. Watching Star Wars in high school with some girl says, "When did this happen?" I said it was made in the 70s. Confused on what she meant. She said no, the space war. When did we have a space war? Me and my buddy almost did it because some answers are mean. She was homeschooled and her parents were act Christian people. She would try and fit in. I felt sorry for her tbh. Should have just told her that it happened a long time ago. In a galaxy far, far away. It's not cheating if you don't love the person. I felt the pain from here. My condolences to you. There are 3 types of Asians: Chinese, Japanese and Asians. Apostrophe. Hangul voice. So are ya Chinese or Japanese? I'm Laotian. My mom said her new Mac was a waste of money because it didn't have Internet Explorer, so how is she supposed to do anything? Imagine still using Internet Explorer. A few years ago leading up to the Great American Eclipse, a coworker overheard us discussing it and said, "Y'all don't actually believe in that shit, do you?" I figured he misunderstood whatever we were talking about and thought we were talking about mysticism or something regarding the eclipse. But no, he followed up with, "Don't you know, if the moon went into the sun it would melt. That's why the eclipse can't be real." I genuinely felt like humanity should probably start over from scratch after that. I can imagine as the internet was just hitting the world, someone must have thought that the spread of information and knowledge would make the world a smarter place. Clearly the availability of knowledge was not the problem. Buddy of mine was very drunk one night and asked me where does the moon go during the daytime. It's honestly surprising how many people have never looked up and seen the moon during the day. When I was a kid and I saw the moon during the day, I always wondered what the situation was in Australia at that point. Just pure darkness? What was going on with them? No one ever gave me an answer. I know better now, of course. Co-worker at my last job during lunch. The moon landings obviously didn't happen, ma. That's awkward. I was bouncing lasers off the mirrors we left there at uni. Physics graduate. After pausing. There's loads of ways they could have got there. Aliens could have plonked them down. Man literally believes in aliens, but not the moon landings, and is a manager at a large company. Proof stupid people can achieve any position of power. If I swallow, will I get pregnant? No. But be careful where you spit. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.